My next guests are from the Nebraska Organizing Project, Andrew and Tania. Thanks for making time to be here today.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. I'm Zach Miller with my co-host Vance Kole.
Good to meet you guys.
little under the weather today, but that's okay. And we are touching base with the Nebraska Organizing Project. Let's get a quick background on both of you, just a little bit. Tania, let's start with you. Where are you originally from? You originally from the area?
So I've been in Norfolk since I was 3 years old. I'm originally from Mexico, from the state of Michoacan.
Okay.
And I've been here, like I said, since I was 3 years old. Went through preschool, elementary, middle school, high school. Graduated from Norfolk High School a while back ago.
Awesome, yeah.
Yes.
What brought you up here at that age?
My family, originally when we moved to the United States, we were in California. And our family came to Nebraska because of work opportunities. In California, the work was more migrant work, so we were moving a lot. And once my dad got the opportunity to come work at like the meat packing plants here, that was more stable employment. So that's why we ended up here.
That's good. That's good. In high school, did you do any sports or activities or anything?
I was in the orchestra and like speech debate. Things like that.
Awesome. And you go to college?
Yes, I went to UNL.
UNL? Mm-hmm. What was your degree?
My degree is in Spanish linguistics with a minor in criminal justice.
Oh, that's really cool. Thanks. What was your driving factor on choosing UNL?
UNL, I had the opportunity to go through junior high and high school as part of the Upward Bound program. And so they were like a college prep program that was, a wonderful opportunity just growing up in that program. So we were able to go every summer, take summer school, participate in classes at UNL just to get familiar with the campus and how things work. And so once I got to the point where I was able to go to the university, it was just seemed more natural to go there. I had a support system and I was more familiar with the campus.
That's awesome. What made you decide on those two degrees?
So I did change my major quite a bit. I tried everything from like psychology, political science, Chicano studies, and then once 3 years had gone by, I went to my advisor and said, "Okay, this is what I've got. What do you recommend I do here?" And so originally the goal was to go to law school, and so that was another reason. But I always have been very passionate about working with language access, and linguistics has been a great degree. It's given me a lot of preparation for the community that I work with, and it helps me work with various Hispanic populations as well.
Yeah, that works out well. So it was law degree that you were going for, so kind of criminal justice was kind of right there. So you kind of stuck with the same type of thing. That's really cool. Anything else about your background that you want to talk about at all before we get into Andrew's background? No? Okay.
Thanks.
All right, Andrew, what about you? You originally from the area?
Yeah, I was born and raised here. Been here all my life. I do a little bit of traveling, but something about Norfolk just kind of brings you back.
Yeah, it does. Did you graduate from Norfolk High then?
So I actually went to Lutheran High.
Okay.
So still in the area, though, but
yeah,
a little smaller experience.
Yeah. How was that experience for you?
So I did also go to a private elementary school, grade school, so I was just sort of around the same group of people. So in that aspect, it was pretty nice. We all like knew each other. Everybody got along pretty well. Great teachers, good environment to kind of shape me into the person that I am now.
Which one did you go to?
Christ Lutheran.
Christ Lutheran? That's really cool. Sometimes I've known a lot of people that come out of the smaller schools like that and do really well. So it's kind of awesome. High school, any sports or activities?
So I always had something going on.
Yeah.
I was in cross country. I did theater, both the one act and the spring play. I did speech. I did mock trial. I tried wrestling for one semester just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
That was really about it.
Busy guy.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. That's a lot of things.
Oh, and band and choir.
Really?
Because,
What'd you play in band?
I did flute.
Flute?
Yep.
Awesome. I was a saxophonist, so right there with
right
you.
Next to, yeah.
Yeah. How about college?
So college, that's the fun part of my story. I went to Concordia in Seward for one semester and had to drop out for a few reasons, mostly just financial.
Yeah. So didn't finish.
Yeah.
That's all right. We didn't finish either, so it's okay. It's
Still working on it.
still working on it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's still time. There's time for me. There's time for you.
Yep. What was the degree you had chosen? Had you chosen a degree at all yet at that point?
Yeah, I always wanted to be a teacher. With everything that I had going on in high school, I've always just kind of had a passion for it. And through the teachers that I had in high school, I kind of learned this is the direction that I want to take as a teacher. I want to be that kind of person that can really shape a student's life and also help them on their way through life.
It's really cool. What type of studies were you going to teach, or what did you want to teach?
I wasn't entirely sure at the time, but now I'm definitely leaning towards music.
Music?
Yep.
That's really cool. I enjoy music still to this day. I actually took a few classes for composition in college. Trying to think, I wanted to maybe, create some hip hop tracks. I don't know. Who knows? That's awesome. That's awesome. Nice to get your guys' backgrounds. Anything else you want to get out about your background at all?
No, I don't think so. I think that covers.
Okay. So tell me about the Nebraska Organizing Project. For those that, don't really know, give them a little insight about what the organization does.
All right. So the Nebraska Organizing Project, it's in the name. What we do is called community organizing. So that's a lot different than, like, say, advocacy, or like a group that will, somebody will say, oh, I need food stamps. Okay, they'll get you food stamps. What we do is we work directly with people who are affected, and through the power of our collective voice, we look into whatever problem it is that we're working on and come up with a solution, and then push that solution forward on whoever it is that can make that change. And then we hold them accountable for making that change.
So does that include like state lawmakers, city lawmakers, things like that? How many people do you guys have involved?
So right now we have, I don't know the exact number, but the last time I checked, we were over 70 members.
70 members just in Norfolk?
Yeah.
Really? How often do you guys meet then?
So we meet once a month with general membership, and that is completely open to the public. Anybody can show up to those.
Okay. So how many leaders, I guess, do you guys have? If you want to call them leaders, or I don't know what you guys...
Do you have like a board?
Like a board?
Kind of. So we have our steering team. That's so their goal is, or their job is to shape the direction of the organization as a whole, and help us get more members and that kind of thing. So they will. They're a group of, 2 co-chairs. You might have to help me out on this.
It's about 6 members.
Yeah.
So it's all member-led. So we do have 3 main organizers. There's a director, that's the main organizer, and then we have an organizer for Norfolk and an organizer for right now there's the city, which is another branch that's starting up. But everything is very member-led. So that's what's sets this organization apart, really, from all the other organizations I've been a part of and memberships and things like that. The Nebraska Organizing Project and Norfolk chapter, they really focus on, it's all member-led, and it's where you go and you become like knowledge is power. So they educate the members, and they really through education, through knowledge, empower members to realize that as just normal community members, we can make a difference in our community. Okay. So that's been the biggest thing that really has stood out to me as far as how this organization works and runs.
Is it kind of the same structure as the Western Organization of Resource Councils? Like how that structure is with their director and then goes down to each chairman type?
Yeah.
It's actually the head, that's work, and then from under. Then
so you guys are underneath.
Yes.
Yeah.
So were you guys? So it was Colorado, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, Oregon, South Dakota, Wyoming, and then Nebraska.
And now Nebraska. Yes.
Okay. So how did Norfolk become the first chapter of that?
So,
of the whole state?
do you know the story?
Yeah. So one of the representatives from work, who's been our advisor ever since we started, he was looking into the Nebraska area for what is the best place that we can find. So work, that's the Western Organization of Resource Councils, they were looking into demographics and movements, things that were going on. And they just held a lot of conversations, and a lot of people were saying, there is something going on in Norfolk. And that's kind of what pointed them our direction.
Based on the demographics?
Yeah. But also, this would have been 2019, 2020, and that was also around the time that our economy really shot up. We started really, really developing.
That's when downtown started, yeah.
Yeah. Would have been around the same time, too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you said you were kind of doing some of the same research at the time, right?
Yeah. I figured we'd get to this. So after, I guess I should have brought that up in my background.
That's all right.
So after I dropped out of college, I didn't need, but I wanted some sort of drive that filled that same purpose as why I wanted to be a teacher. And yeah, I was looking into all of that as well. But if you asked me what I was going to do with it, I had no idea.
What made you want to look into it in the first place? Like not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying like that's kind of a demographics is kind of like, I want to get into demographics.
Right.
Out of the blue.
So I always had a desire to learn, something that just kept pulling me towards, I want to learn as much as I can. And I just thought it was kind of interesting, being from a small town. What is it that you see a lot of small towns, they tend to stagnate. So I wanted to see what is it that makes them stagnate. And then also, being a person of color, I'm Black and also Hispanic. I was also looking into the demographics from a minorities perspective. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times you see, especially in rural towns, the numbers of minority demographics tend to either stagnate or drop. So I wanted to see, is there a definitive answer as to why? What happens here that makes that happen?
Did you figure that out?
So a lot of it comes down to visibility. Obviously, now it's 2024. There's not a lot of explicit policies in place that are keeping people away. It's this weird answer that we put into our own heads. I remember I found a quote from a mayor of a town in Minnesota who said, this isn't, hold on, before I slander this poor guy, hold on, that's not what he said. He was telling a story about that same idea of filling in the answer, and it was something that he believed before he also did the research and put in the work. He believed in the past that, maybe our town is just too cold for people of color. Which, when you really sit and think like that, that's not, it's not rooted in real world logic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
So it's a lot of just history that hasn't been acknowledged and change that isn't talked about.
I will say, along those lines, do you think that there's more visibility now?
Oh, for sure.
Like across the state even, not just Norfolk?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking like even some of the different, like there's the, I forget what it's called. Is it the Hispanic Business Council? Yeah. A lot of different things that have, there's different organizations I think that are doing a pretty good job of keeping that visibility out there, that there is a business community and that the mayor always says we're open for business, right? So multi-issue, community-minded organization. How do you guys break down, like how do you pick the problems and then turn them into smaller solvable issues? Like how do you guys decide which issues? I'm assuming with that many members, a lot get brought to the table, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we had conversations with over 150 members of the community. This was back before we had officially launched, and I was a part of that group. So that at that time there was maybe 10 of us, and we had somehow in that amount of time we'd reached 150 people, and we all had different ideas of what we wanted to work on, how we wanted things to get done. And I remember that was a really tough conversation that we all had, because at the end of the day, we are a part of the community, the organization, but like Tania had said, we are member driven. It has to be something that all of us are willing to put the work in on. And we decided that that's the way we're going to go to reach it coming forward. If we can't all come to a consensus, then we need to stop and talk.
Okay.
And I think the only thing I would add is, like you said, it was a multi-issue kind of project. So we did do like several interviews, house interviews, different settings, one-on-ones and everything, just to do the research to see which topic. So we did find a topic that the majority of people could feel passionate about. But definitely the goal is to make progress, move forward on this issue. And then, right now we're all joining in, whether it affects you directly or not, with the, the goal of when we move to a different issue that we will all rally and support, the various issues as they come up.
Okay. You guys work on one issue at a time? Try to?
For now, we're doing things one issue at a time.
Okay.
So I was going to get into this a little bit earlier. So we form a team around each issue. A lot of people with 70 members, not everybody can coordinate their lives around it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people's commitment is that they can show up to the monthly meeting. Not everybody is able to put in the work, but they're still a part of moving us forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been a part of it since February of 2023.
Yes, that's right.
How long have you?
I want to say, I think December of last year.
Okay.
So initially I was hired as an interpreter. So
Okay.
I do simultaneous interpretation. And so I was hired as as the interpreter to make all of these meetings accessible. So that's one of the big things, that being that one, our first issue, language
Yeah.
access. So we make each meeting accessible for anyone, regardless of the language they speak. So I initially started as the interpreter, and then I, being part of the meetings, I really enjoyed, the information that was being brought up and on the topics. And so it became something that was also very near and dear to my heart.
That's probably a good thing if we're talking about language access, that the people at the meeting can understand what's going on, right?
Exactly.
So then the actual Nebraska Organizing Project launched in October of 23.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are coming up on a year.
Yes.
Yep.
What all have you guys accomplished in that year so far?
I'm very excited. So we've been doing a lot of research, working with the community, just understanding how city council works, how, things become into laws and all of that. So like I said, it comes a lot of education comes with it as well. But we've been doing research on how it is that we can make progress on this issue, which is language access.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've come up, at this point, we have a language access plan with some supporting documents, and we're at the point where we are getting ready to present our work and research to the city council here coming up this month, actually.
So in a year's time, so you guys put a lot into this then, I'm assuming, if we're working on one issue over that long period of time.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you dumb down I don't mean it that way, but like dumb down the term language access? Like what exactly are you trying to kind of get to? Like what's the most layman way of saying it? Like is it for every single type of language, or like what is your ultimate goal of language access?
So yeah, definitely. That's so language access. Like I said, it's access for different in different languages. So in Norfolk, we've realized that it's actually become a very diverse community.
Mm-hmm.
We not only have Spanish, but we have other languages like Karen and Ukrainian, Russian, sign language. So we have all these different languages, and what we've realized through our research is that city services at this point aren't very accessible. And that goes from things like paying a water bill, accessing library services, as well as, reaching emergency services, calling 911, working with paramedics, working with firefighters. Sorry. And so what we are aiming to do is make it so that our city staff is aware of the issue, let them know, this is an issue and it's an important issue, and then also provide solutions on how to make it better. So that's been our research, not only bringing awareness to it, but providing an actual solution and ways to make it better.
Can you speak on some of the solutions that you guys have come up with? Or is that something we can't talk about?
Yeah, I was actually going to say on that. So because there are so many different languages as well as Spanish is the largest one in our community, but as our community grows, there's going to be so much more of a need. A big part of our solution is being aware and making sure that the city is also aware of other ways to make those languages accessible.
Okay.
And the good thing is, it's through our research, like I said, it's not only that, that we're so far off, because the city does have some resources, but it is bringing awareness to the issue, bringing awareness to the importance of having this access in multiple languages and using the resources we already have. So we do have a lot of, progress that can be made, but we're not starting from scratch. Norfolk is a community that wants to get better.
Yeah, I definitely understand that for sure. And as we're doing that with the languages, is there also going to be a solution part of that too, of like teaching English as a second language type of thing, or is that just going to be where we implement the languages at that level?
So learning English as a second language is already something that is in town. Like, there are churches that offer classes like that. Northeast Community College also offers opportunities like that as well. And nowadays we also have all these online resources.
Right.
So language access it goes beyond that. We of course would always encourage people to learn a second, third language.
Right.
But this is also bringing awareness to the fact that people are coming in that may not have that opportunity for various reasons, whether it be that they did not have access to any education in their country, or they're still in survival mode where they're trying to just, so we just want to make sure that our community is welcoming. So regardless of where you are in that stage, whether you're learning you're already learning English or you just got here, that our community is a welcoming environment and an inclusive environment.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to make sure didn't know if that was a thing. Does the Northeast charge for that?
Those classes are free.
Those classes are free. Okay, I didn't realize
So
that.
we try to push them to that. We'll welcome them, and we'll do everything we can to help you out. And that's the goal. But then the goal is also to make it's a two-way street. We'll help you, but you got to help us too. So that's kind of where he's kind of getting at. Is are we looking at it both ways to try to get on a path to where we're both going this way to get to here, as opposed to one person coming here and the other one going straight, type of thing. So
yeah, and like I said, it's as far as learning another language, it's definitely something that if that's an access, people do want to learn other languages. That's not even something we really have to push, because if you have access to the world around you, that does make it better. But that's something that is not, it's not as simple as going to a class and saying, I've got it. It's like us trying to learn a completely different concept. So we do, and definitely the goal is to make this a more inclusive. The more inclusive the environment is, the more you want to become part of it. And we do, in the future, we'll definitely work on a resource center where people do have a place to go and find these resources and become more,
That's all I was getting at. I didn't mean it like in a bad way. I was just saying a two-way street, make sure we have all the facility or the access for them to have it. And then also,
people are a lot more willing to help others that help them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's just the way it is. Instead of being forced to do something,
and
you're not seeing something from the other side, it makes it easier for people to stomach or, to buy in. A buy-in.
Yeah, buy-in from everybody, community and the people that we're trying to help out, right? You did mention in your notes here something, talking about some organizations pushing an agenda, and you said you guys are trying to stay away from that. How do you guys stay away from pushing an agenda? Like, how do you keep from doing that?
It kind of goes back to, like I said before, that our public membership meetings, anyone can show up to those. And while we do break down into smaller teams, those teams, they don't make decisions, they propose decisions. Our decisions are made by the membership publicly.
You said it was consensus. So is it a voting type system, or is it everybody has to agree, or it gets tabled? type of thing?
So it is a voting type thing.
Okay.
But we have like cards, like color-coded cards. So we have green, completely 100% agree. Yellow and orange are the, hey, let's slow down and talk about it. And then red is, I completely do not support this.
Okay.
And what sets consensus apart from like just a regular voting yay or nay is it's an open dialogue. So if there are reservations, those are heard. And if we can't like figure those out, then yeah, things would get tabled if we weren't all in agreement.
That's nice to hear. Discussion's always good to have than
Yep.
just voting for something and letting it go.
Right.
I get that.
And ultimately, we want this to be a community project. And
Right.
we're not trying to keep anyone away from being a part of this.
Definitely. Do you guys have any, is there a location that you guys have? Or is it just a,
It's on 4th Street.
Yeah. So right now we do have a set of offices on 4th Street, just off of downtown. I am terrible with street names,
That's
but
okay.
it's right next to MJ's.
oh, okay, right there. Okay. I think I've seen the sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Where is mostly the funding coming from? Donators? Is that kind of how this is going? I didn't know if there was any kind of like state funding or if it's coming from the work group.
So we do have some funding from the work group, as well as, I'm blanking on the names, but
That's
there
okay.
was another group that helped us get started. But after that, it comes down to work and our membership.
Oh, so it's like a paid membership type thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like a okay.
But there's no set amount. If you've put money forward, congratulations, you're a member.
Nice, like a free will donation type of.
Right.
That's kind of cool. And then on the same lines, you said something about the exclusive club-like environment. What steps are you taking along those same lines? Probably going to be the same answer, but to make sure it doesn't end up in that exclusive club-like environment.
I would say, yeah, along those same lines. It's anybody, even though the consensus voting is only membership, everybody that shows up is a part of that conversation that's going to happen.
Have you guys had any issues with that at all? Or has everybody been pretty not stable, but, not too many arguments and things like that?
Still open dialogue. So
Yeah.
when we first started, just like to get a consensus agreement would take, like an hour or longer.
Right. Yeah.
And as time has gone by, we've moved faster and we are able to reach consensus a lot faster because we've all received training. We all kind of know what we're talking about at this point. But we do welcome in like new members, and there are decisions that take longer. There's different sides and to consider, and I've really enjoyed like the open dialogue and how we all have to bring it out in the moment. It's not something that we go and talk with our neighbor or talk with our best friend over here behind our, like after the fact. It's we bring it all during the meeting and decide and then move forward.
That's good.
And I think a big part of that too is that we make sure if there's someone new in the room, we're gonna teach you how it is that this looks and why it is that we do things the way that we do. That way nobody comes in confused.
Definitely. I wish some government places would, think about having open dialogue like that. One of your values is about eliminating barriers to participation. So explain that statement, if you could, one of you.
So one of the things we do is, like I said, we make our meetings accessible. We have interpreter available. We make sure, we let people know ahead of time. We meet in accessible places, regardless of whether you're walking in or, using a wheelchair or have other type of impediment that like you have, a different type of ability that you have access to the space, you have access to the information.
Okay.
So when you're looking for language, kind of going back into when you talk about your barriers and stuff, do you have, like you were looking for language accessibility, do you guys have interpreters for all the languages, or do you have multiple people in there? How are you guys doing your meetings with your interpreters? Are you the only interpreter, or is there more interpreters?
So at this time, we haven't had we haven't had membership or like visitors in a different language. In some of the activities that we've done, if there was a suspicion that we might have a need for interpreting, we've hired American Sign Language interpreters for different events. And at this time, I have been the main interpreter. But we also work with other organizations. So like for the 16th, we would definitely bring different interpreters.
It'll work out well. Do you guys want to get into a little bit more on the city council meeting? I know we talked about it a little bit. Or what else you guys can talk about on it?
Yeah. So we are going to be talking about the issue of language access on September 16th with City Council, and the language access plan that we wrote. We're going to be presenting that, and City Council is going to be voting on that.
So you guys proposed the plan, and they're basically going to vote on if it's going to be updated to that plan?
Yep.
You've already gave them the plan?
So we've developed the plan, and we'll be presenting the plan that day with hopes of having, approval on it and that it gets adopted. And so that's why we also want to invite the community to show up to this city council meeting on September 16th at 5:30, so that people know, or so that the city council can see how many people are interested in the topic as well, just to support. We really want people to show up, and just their presence will be a huge support. We, at this point, know who will be speaking, what will be said, so we don't need people to, come and talk. We just want them to show up and support us with their presence.
And the city council's you've already briefed them on this plan, or?
We've been working with city council and city staff.
Have you already
members.
been in meetings with, you've been to other city council meetings and presented something to them, or how's this gone? How's the process gone?
So we have not presented at a city council meeting yet. By sheer coincidence, the updated language access plan showed up on one of their agendas, and so this was back in, I don't remember.
It's been a few months back. But
Yeah, a few months back.
Yeah.
And we showed up and basically just said, hey, we've been working on this for since October, and we would like to ask you to table this so that we can work on it together. And they said yes.
Oh, okay. That's what I was asking, if this is, it's just not all of a sudden
so
going to happen and get voted on here. So that's what I was asking.
Right. It's not a surprise. They know that there's a
Gotcha.
community-led group that's been working on this issue.
And you've been talking to them this whole time? Like, you guys have had conversations with the council and the city people as you guys are making your plan too?
Yes, we've had meetings with city staff members as well as different people from the city. Like, even in the research process, we talked to department heads and different city staff.
Cool.
Were you able to get access to like the police chief and things like that, as far as the 911 services and all that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Good. That's good. What were their takes on some of that? How well received was what you guys were saying?
Generally speaking, I feel like we've had great, people are receiving this really well. Everyone, I feel in general, knows this is an issue and this is a need. And so it's been received quite well. I've been very pleasantly surprised.
Has part of the plan, and I know this isn't your guys' side of it, but has there been any budget talks, like for some of these places, along the lines of if it's in their budget, if they're going to be able to implement it?
So there has been some talk, like I said, not specifically
Right,
like amounts, but
it's a weird
definitely-
question. I
yeah,
apologize
like
to
not-
ask you guys, but I just didn't know if it was in the
If they
talks.
brought it up when you
Yeah,
brought
but
it
it's
up.
definitely something where they know the need is there, and the need is there, and the money is there as well. So it's just
Just finding how to implement it. I get it. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about on that subject at all that we maybe missed? Again, I was pretty green coming into this with what the information that I had, so I apologize if the questions weren't quite there for you. But
No, you're okay. I think on the September 16th event, the city council meeting, I think we've pretty much covered everything. We're just, like she said earlier, we're just asking people, hey, show up and let them know you're a part of this, you support this.
Can you guys give us any sneak peeks on anything you guys got coming up next? Anything that was presented that you guys can maybe, give your first take on? Or is that all secretive?
Not necessarily secretive. Like I said, it's just a matter of with the organizing project. Like a lot of it is also like strategic planning.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure we're setting this plan up for success as well. So we want to make sure we do everything in the correct order, out of respect and out of strategy as well.
I get that.
We do want to, I will just say, we do want to celebrate if the September 16th does turn out to be a success. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed, look forward to that.
Well, that'll be your first one, and then if you can get something to come through,
Right.
shows you guys can really put something together, right?
Right. As far as the work network goes, we're the fun new kids on the block, and we've heard a little bit of talk. There's a lot of people are looking at what we're doing because we really did do this really fast and really well.
Well, I remember, so you and I first started talking about it right when you were kind of getting into it, and I was like, this sounds super interesting, number one.
Right.
And then number two, I was like, God, they went real fast. Like, from when I first talked to you about it, and then the way it kind of progressed, I was like, man, they're really kind of cooking here.
Yeah, I had meant to keep you updated, keep talking to you, but really what happened was we were a little slow moving, still in the let's talk about the idea of the thing process. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we were moving nonstop.
Well, once you get more members, it probably moved a little quicker, right?
Right, for sure.
That's good. That's really good, though. I like what you guys are doing. I think it's nice to see a group bringing things to light in that way. Other than that, I didn't really have. How about the South Sioux City chapter? That's just starting, right?
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I'm not too sure about much of that.
Was that something that branched out of the Norfolk one, or is it just kind of?
Yeah. So we do have an organizer there that started conversations. South Sioux is a very different ballgame than Norfolk. There are a lot of groups that are doing a lot of things, but there's nobody doing community organizing. So a lot of people have the passion for it, but they're so stretched thin. And I think that's one of the issues there, but also he's our organizer there. He is starting at step one.
Yeah.
I think they're still in like their research process.
It takes time.
I don't know if they've chosen their.
Well, obviously, it takes a year, right?
Right.
Just about. You guys keep talking about training. Where was that training done, or how would that training happen?
It was actually our lead organizer, who is from the Norfolk area, and the representative from work. They came into town last summer, and just hosted a big event where we talked about the very basics of community organizing with as many people as were ready to listen. And then since then, we've tried to repeat those lessons every now and then, make sure everybody's still on the same page as we've grown in membership. And yeah.
I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but your lead organizer, how did they get involved with work? Like, how did that, that whole story at all, or how that came about for this whole thing to even be a thing?
So I know a little bit. There was a different lead organizer at the time. For Norfolk? Yeah. And that person was new to the Norfolk area. And our current lead organizer, that was the very first one-on-one conversation that this organizer had. And that really just lit a fire under her, and she's been a part ever since.
Wow. That's really cool.
So the original lead organizer was from just work itself, from the work organization that moved here for that to get it started? I'm
not sure about that, actually, but I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to make sure we give your organization justice here, but I don't know if we can't get into anything in the future. I don't know if I have any more questions. We kind of...
Is there anything you guys want to get out more about it? specifically? And I feel bad because I'm not asking a lot of questions because my voice hurts a lot. So I apologize a lot.
I guess where can people, when do you guys normally meet?
Usually the last Wednesday or the fourth Wednesday of the month. And we meet at the library in meeting room A. Meeting room A.
At what time? Is it
6
usually later?
6 p.m. Yeah.
6 p.m.
Usually later.
Okay.
There's always like childcare available, interpreter service.
That's really cool. That way we can I'll put it with the posts and everything when we put that way everybody can get. Is there any other way people can get involved?
We still need to do some maintenance on it, but we do have a website that will have a link to our to a place where you can donate. I know nobody wants to talk about money, but really anything that you're able to put forward, and you'll be a member for 1 year starting the date that you donated, and that means you can show up, you can participate in our voting process, but you can always just show up anyway and just see and learn.
Where do what does most of that go to? The research, obviously the facility.
Yeah. So it does cost things for us to be able to hire interpreters.
Yeah.
And because we're going to be showing up to City Council to model language access for them as well. We'll be showing up with interpreters and interpretation devices. That also costs money. Any event that we do will cost money. That's the sad thing about this kind of work.
Do you know what kind of classification your organization is? Do you know that off the top of your head?
No, not off the top of my head.
Just didn't know if you'd like a 501c3 or something like that, like for a nonprofit. Didn't know if you knew that.
No clue.
What kind of devices are we talking about for the interpreter devices?
Interpreter devices it's like a little receiver, and then you connect like headphones, and you can put your regular headphones that you bring from home, or like the ones that are provided with. And it's a very simple device. You connect it, and then there's an interpreter in the back somewhere that will be interpreting whatever. So if the person is speaking English, it'll interpret into Spanish, and you can put it in, like if you needed Spanish, you put your headphones on. And then if someone's speaking Spanish, the interpreter starts interpreting into English. Okay. And so if you need the English, you would either put them in or turn them on. You can either disconnect the headphones or turn it off every time when you don't need it. And that way it just opens up the space so anyone can participate regardless of the language.
My mind went straight to like a Google Translate type where you could like talk into it and it would speak back out. My apologies on that one. Other than that, I think what you guys are doing is a good thing, having conversations and getting things rolling. So if there's nothing else that you guys want to get out about what you guys are doing, I guess only having one thing that you guys really are pushing at the table right now kind of makes it a little more difficult to go into any more. We do have some questions that we do ask every guest on the podcast, so we'll go through those, and you guys can either answer them together or you can answer them separately, however you want to do it. With an election year coming up, how do you guys feel about where the state of our country is right now, and do you feel that we are being well represented at the federal and state levels?
Ooh, I guess I got the fun job of starting.
You got pointed at.
Voluntold.
Yeah, there you go.
So I would say rural communities tend to be a lot more ignored. Norfolk is growing quite a bit, and I have seen quite a lot of our state representatives making a point to come out to Norfolk. But I still want to say that there are always going to be a lot of different voices, and I think it really shows in what we're trying to do that even before we had picked a specific issue, there was no shortage of people who said, yes, I want to be a part of something. There's a lot of people who care within Nebraska, and I think that's starting to change, starting to be a very recent shift. So I think this is just me, this is just my opinion, but I think that politically speaking, Nebraska is starting to change, starting to shift.
Yeah, see, they're definitely making a point to come to Norfolk a lot more, different representatives and things like that. Not the ones that were just from here
Right,
originally.
right.
They're from the area. So that's good. I get what you're saying. What about you? You can make it short and sweet if you want to, too. It's fine. They're hard questions. We ask these to everybody, so we got to figure out what we're going to end the show with once the election's over.
I think just, both as a community, as a state, and as a country, it's definitely, exciting times for the country because things are changing, and we just hope that things keep changing for the better, and just, that we keep making progress in the right direction.
Okay. Do you feel that the systems that are in place, talking about the two-party system, still works in today's time?
I would honestly say no is my short answer. It's very complicated is the long answer.
Yeah, it is very complicated. And so you say no. Do you have any idea of what something could replace it, or do you think it just needs to be fixed from the inside?
I think it needs to be fixed from the inside, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I was trying to figure out how I want to word this.
Well, we call it the uniparty, where they're all kind of just. It's really not. It's just one
I
party.
look at it as them versus us.
Yeah,
Right.
them versus us type of thing.
Right. It's a big part of why I like what we do as an organization. Not to bring it back, but
No, it's fine.
change really does start at the smaller level.
Yeah.
And like I said before, people are starting to are no longer ignoring the small movements
Yeah,
and the small changes.
that's half the reason why we started the podcast was to just get other people's voices out there, and yeah, I get it.
Right.
What about you?
Yeah, likewise, would say no as far as the basic answer is not working. There's definitely a lot of work to be made. Is there an easy solution? I don't think there is, but we're definitely at a point where just the community is moving as a whole, and hopefully towards bettering that system.
Do you guys feel that the city is in a good spot as far as being ran? Do you think that we have a pretty good representation in the city level?
I think we're definitely making progress. Prior to being part of this organization, I wasn't very involved with like local government much, and the little bit that I have been, I'm actually really proud of some of the people that I've met, like that work for the city, and I feel like the people that I have worked with definitely have the intention of making this city better and making Norfolk a place where you're proud to call home.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear. What about you?
Yeah, I think I would agree with a lot of that. As I've been more involved here with this organization too, I definitely agree that I've had a lot of conversations that surprised me. I think that there's for sure a lot of good intentions and just a lot of things that people don't know. A lot of tough conversations that have never been had before.
Yeah, I get it. We had the opportunity to interview quite a few of the city councilmen and one of the mayor candidates, and we grilled them pretty bad about some different things. So I think a lot of them are doing a good job, and a lot of them, city government wise, you got to remember they all have jobs, and so it takes a lot for some of them to still keep on track with everything, and it's kind of crazy. I couldn't do it. Let's put it that way.
Right.
I can barely run a podcast. So, okay. Well, where do you guys see yourself going in the future? Are you enjoying Norfolk, and do you see yourself staying in Northeast Nebraska?
I'm not sure. I had mentioned that I like to travel a lot, so
Yeah.
I can imagine that in the future I'll be leaving Norfolk, but for now I'm gonna keep sticking my nose up,
Gotcha.
keep putting my voice out.
Was there a destination that you'd like to move to, or?
I'm not entirely sure, but Colorado does seem nice.
Yeah, I hear you.
Been there a few times, always loved it.
Yeah.
I really am enjoying both the work that we're doing with the organization and like my job as well. A place where I really do enjoy being here. And so had you asked me like 10 years ago, I probably would have said no, but I really do like where the community's going. And, I've really come to
Yeah, once you get involved, it's kind of hard to leave, right? Once you get involved and you're helping make decisions and
Put down roots.
yeah, put down roots.
down-
Yeah,
For sure.
definitely. Well, other than that, I appreciate you guys coming on. Sorry I didn't have more questions, but I think it was still a good. I think people got an idea what you guys do, right?
Yes.
We'll
thank
bring you guys back on once we get the next issue.
What's
All right.
what's the website that people can go on to try to look into joining and doing that type of stuff? Pull it up. That's fine.
Yeah.
That is a good question.
He is right. It's not broken, but it's there. But some of the links you can't get to. I did try to look it up today.
Right. We're very, very new, and we've got a lot of work to do on that
And
website.
do you have socials?
Do you have social media for
the
the
group?
organizing prep for the group?
I want to say there's a Facebook page. I'm not quite sure that we have a lot at the moment.
That's okay.
So we are.
You guys have been busy researching. You guys don't have
Right,
time. You guys don't have time for that social media garbage.
Honestly, it really does feel like we just we started it, and then once we started moving, it just kind of got set to the side.
Yeah.
We are NebraskaOrganizingProject.org.
Yep. I just found it. I don't see a Facebook group, but I could be wrong. That's okay. But if people do want to maybe get an idea, obviously that's that website, but they can go look up the Western Organization of Resource Councils, and it kind of gives you an idea of what you guys do, right?
Yeah.
And they've got a pretty full page, and you guys are on there.
Yeah. I was going to say, I say this knowing full well that somebody from there could possibly hear me. I have seen our representation on their website.
Yeah.
That link is also broken.
It
It would be
is.
so nice if they could fix that for us, please.
That's how I knew you guys were on there, because I tried to click it. No, it's okay. Internet is it's one little thing can bug a link. It's okay. You guys are still growing. You guys are doing what you guys need to do. Don't worry about the social media side.
Right. And I really do mean it when I say there's a lot of, when I said earlier, there's a lot of talk within the network. We are very new, and we've been moving so fast. We haven't really had an opportunity for them to check up with us. We're just kind of flying right now.
No. Well, I think this is an opportunity to bring you guys on again at some point. I mean, if you guys are willing to, if you guys enjoyed it anyway.
Yeah.
Once you guys have a next, project, we can kind of discuss it. And you guys can tell the people what's kind of going on. I had no idea about it until you told me. So, do you guys have trouble getting people to know about it? Is it kind of a word of mouth thing?
Word of mouth travels the fastest and the best in Norfolk, I think.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least that's my experience.
I wish it would travel for the podcast that fast. No, I'm just kidding. That's cool, though. It's good to hear. Other than that, I think we'll probably end it there if you guys are, unless there's something else you guys want to talk about.
Thank you very much for having us.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks for having
Appreciate
us.
it for coming on.
Thanks to my co-host Vance Neidig and producer Cole Peterson. Without them, the show would not be what it is. Huge thank you to Andrew and Tania. We really appreciate you guys making time for us today. Awesome. Keep on the look for more episodes, and we'll see you guys next week.